I'm Miriam.
And I'm Elise. Two friends bound by the love of books.
Taking on the world one chapter at a time. This is the Bookbound Besties podcast. Hey, Bookbound Besties! Welcome to episode 2 of season 2. I don't know why I'm doing my fingers these days, but anyway, of the Bookbound Besties podcast, where we dive deep into your favorite books, have unhinged chats, and Elise theorizes about what's to come because she still hasn't read the book yet.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, today we're going to be talking about chapters 6 to 10. Just a little content warning, this episode will contain topics that are not suitable for little ears, so do with that what you will. Before we get started, Elise finished Throne of Glass finally.
I did.
She has jumped into my favorite SJM series, possibly one of my favorite series of all time, and I am so thrilled that you, like me, actually really enjoyed the first book.
Yeah.
So we posted a TikTok a while ago, kind of me inducting Elise into the Throne of Glass fandom, and we got a shocking amount of comments.
A lot of people just say they didn't like it or it's too slow and they're like having trouble getting through it, and I was shocked.
I was offended.
I figured you would be offended.
I was a little bit offended, but you know what? This is what I told myself, and this is kind of how I responded to a lot of these comments, is a lot of people will come to Sarah J. Maas through ACOTAR, and ACOTAR is incredibly accessible, and it's really more of a romance with in a fantasy world. Like, there's incredible world building, but it's not complex world building, whereas Throne of Glass is more of a fantasy book with romance in it.
Right.
So I think that if you come to Throne of Glass expecting it to be like ACOTAR, it's a very, very different vibe. It's also the first book she ever wrote. She wrote it when she was 16. She rewrote it after college, but still, like, she's young, she's finding her voice. Her writing style and her skill improves so tangibly as you read through the series that I think that's also why people just, it's a slow build as a series.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been telling people, is like, maybe you just are more of a romance reader, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. But there is still a romance element to it that is woven throughout it. So it's not like it's not there. Like, there's still that excitement of like, oh, who's she gonna go for? And like, I don't know. I found it wasn't, like, the world building wasn't complicated. We actually don't know much about the world yet. I found that's one of the things, like, I want to keep reading because I want to learn more about this, like, world building and the magic system and everything. Like, I found it really intriguing. Like, there's like a sense of mystery in this book that, like, you don't really know what's going on, and and she's trying to find out what's going on, and like that's what kept me like very engaged. Like, I was like, I want to know.
And you also feel like she's hiding, Selena is hiding something from the reader.
Yeah.
Have you gotten that sense?
In the sense that we don't really know much about her and her past and everything.
And she actively does not want to think about her past.
Yeah.
So you know that she's had a painful past.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously,
and that's
other
why,
than the fact that she was a slave in Indovir.
But that's why I think halfway through the book I texted you being like, I want to read Assassin's Blade. Like, I want to know her story.
Yeah. Actually, shockingly, somebody read Assassin's Blade after Throne of Glass. So most people will read Assassin's Blade either first.
Or third.
Third or fourth.
Really? Okay.
I read it fourth because that was one of the recommended reading where it's what is traditionally known as the quote-unquote romantic reading order, because you are more invested in her, and after Heir of Fire, a lot of the questions you will have about Selena's past are answered.
Okay.
So a lot of people say, okay, well, now that all of these questions are answered, now you go back to
the past.
To the past. That is how I did it. I liked it. It was fine. But Heir of Fire is the book where a lot of the world expands and you're introduced to a ton of new characters. So I found it a little bit difficult to go from that, and like Selena's character just evolves so much and really like comes into her own. And I found it difficult to go back to like her being a 17-year-old kid.
Right.
What I recommend my friends, and what I've recommended to you, is to read it after Crown of Midnight, so you read it right before the world opens up, and once the world opens up, you can just move, like, power through the rest of the series.
That's the order it was released in, right?
That, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember, to be honest. But it is the new Sarah J. Maas recommended reading order.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So you gotta listen to her.
Purists, though, want to read it first.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have read it first, and I've had some friends say that, like, they wish they had read it first.
Really? I mean, honestly, I don't think that there's a wrong time to read it as long as you read it. But if you read it first, so Assassin's Blade is a series of short stories, so yes, like, you get a sense of who she is and whatever, but you're not as from what I hear, people find it more difficult to become invested in her as a character.
Without knowing who she was.
Yeah.
Right. Fair.
Also, something really tragic happens at the end of Assassin's Blade that if you read Throne of Glass, you know what that is. So you kind of, like, prepare yourself emotionally for it. It's still very emotional. Chloe, one of our followers on Instagram, actually messaged me a picture of her crying after having read it, and she knew what was coming, and it still hit her. Yeah. And anyway, I was just like, first of all, I love that. So please, like, those are the kind of things that we literally live for. This is why we started this account. We have so many, honestly, friendships in the DMs. So if ever you're, like, hesitating and you think you're going to be bothering us or whatever, like, please don't. Please message us, because it's so fun. And it is so rewarding because we started this account and we share our thoughts and our feelings. And like I did yesterday, spoiler alert, we record weeks in advance, but I read Emily Henry's book, Happy Place, and literally could not stop crying for an hour. So, and I shared that on the internet. And that's like what we love about reading. That's why we
absolutely. I got choked up during my Silver Flames review.
Yeah, but you held it together. I could not. I was, like, talking with literally tears streaming down my face. I could not stop. Yeah, it was just cute. Such a beautiful, like, I'm getting tears in my eyes again. It's not sad. It was just
touching.
So moving.
Yeah.
Please go read that book. Happy Place by Emily Henry. So good.
Ready to get into it?
Okay, yes, let's get into it. So chapter 6. Let's hear the synopsis.
Chapter 6. Violet grapples with the fact that Colonel Atos threatened to kill them and slightly loses control over her power. Xaden and Violet have a complicated goodbye, neither one giving in to the other's wishes. The chapter ends with a great feeling of camaraderie while we learn that Rhiannon has become their new wing leader.
Aww. Yeah. The pre-chapter blurb for chapter 6 is, what no one openly says is that while all 4 quadrants obey the code of conduct, a rider's first responsibility is to the codex, which often overrules the regulations other quadrants live by. By definition, the riders make their own rules. And this is from Major Effendra's Guide to the Riders Quadrant, Unauthorized Edition. So I don't know if you remember, but last season we were talking about the code of conduct versus the codex, and we're like, what is this? We've never heard of the code of conduct. Well, again, here, Major Effendra's kind of letting us know that there's another code that Basgiath lives by. So I guess the code of conduct is like the overriding
for the school.
And then the codex is specifically for the riders, which makes sense, I guess. Yeah. And I think we're never going to see an authorized edition of this Guide to the Riders Quadrant because it's always unauthorized every time we get this little blurb. So I just found that funny.
That's funny.
So like Elise mentioned in her synopsis, the chapter picks up with Violet being like, did Colonel Atos just, like, threaten our lives? And yes, Violet.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, and then mildly threatens Mira in the process. Like, I was just like, what the?
The nerve on this man. Anyway.
Oh my God. He's, like, we met him briefly in the first one.
And he was so friendly.
And he was friendly.
And encouraging.
Like, which made me think, like, oh yeah, growing up, like, they had a decent relationship. Yeah. And now he has done a full 180. He is, like, awful.
Oh, he's a big bad, for sure.
Really, like, part of me feels bad for Dane having to grow up with that. Like, seeing this side of Colonel Atos just, like, makes me question Dane's,
like, parenting style and stuff?
Upbringing, yeah.
Interesting. That never crossed my mind at all. But it's a very good point. And
just, like, if this ugly side, this secret ugly side that we are only now seeing, like, what was life like at home. It's probably part of the reason why Dane is so like, I have to follow the rules. I have to follow the rules. Like if this is like the way things have been shoved on him.
Don't make me like him. Don't make me feel bad for him.
I'm not. I'm just putting into perspective.
No, you're humanizing him. You're bringing up a really good point and potentially an explanation for why he is the way he is. And I just don't want that explanation. Okay?
That is fair. That is fair.
So again, like you said, Violet is, experiencing these cracklings of power and these cracklings have been present for the last 5 chapters, but now we're at a point where her emotions are so heightened that she's losing control of them. Yeah. And lightning literally strikes. So she has lost control.
Yeah. Scary.
Yeah. Xaden uses his shadows to shield them and is like, okay, I guess alcohol does not dampen your powers. Because remember, Violet is intoxicated.
Yes. She's feeling loose a little bit.
She changes the subject, asking whether Xaden requested the Southern Wing, since apparently wing leaders get to choose their stations. And there was just no choice left over because everyone thought he was dead. So he just had to take whatever was left over or just like go where he was told, I guess. But because it's so far, Sgaeyl and Tairn will only have hours together during any given visit. And this little game that leadership is playing, because clearly this was done on purpose to keep them apart, but it was to keep Violet and Xaden apart. There's going to be very scary repercussions because they're keeping these 2 dangerous, powerful creatures, in a position that's incredibly uncomfortable for them as collateral damage for the 2 humans. Yeah. And it just plays with this dynamic that we've been seeing since Fourth Wing of there's a group of people who respect and accept the dragon's supremacy, and then a group of people who think that they can manipulate it. And I just think that this is potentially going to be a trend.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's dangerous. I don't know. It's literally like playing with fire. I'm scared to see, like, it's going to result in an explosion of emotion and anger and everything somewhere down the line. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, I don't want to, I don't know. I'm scared to see what that's going to be.
Be scared.
Be scared.
Violet checks in with Andarna, despite the fact that she should be sleeping. And she gives us one of her many gorgeously sassy lines that we're going to be getting from teenage Andarna in this book. She says, quote, "You've lost all touch with reality if you think I'm getting close to him right now. He's in a mood," talking about Tairn, who is now obviously just found out about the living arrangements that they're going to have to be following. And Darna in this book is a gem. You know what? Never mind. It's kind of slipped in there that Andarna is going to be spending the next 2 months sleeping. 2 months!
That's a long time.
Yeah. It's going to cause some problems.
Yeah, because I guess she can't, if she's sleeping, she can't go with them, but she needs to go with them. So is she going to go with them? And
she can't make an appearance.
Also, yeah, everyone still thinks she's a little golden snitch.
Exactly. With legs. Violet is processing what the reality of only having a few hours a week together with Xaden really means. And I feel like this is kind of the illusion that she's trying to, like, it's not even an illusion, it's a delusion that she's trying to, like, tell herself about her feelings for him is just fake. Like, she can't convince herself of, I don't know how to put this into words, but, like, basically she's been, like, convincing herself that she hates him or, like, they can't be together or whatever, but, like, the fact that she is so concerned about the lack of time they're going to have together is just obvious, like, what her feelings actually are.
And right now she's just being stubborn because she was hurt.
For sure.
Which is fair, but, like,
but her focus is on fixing it. Like, she fully says, how are we going to fix this without any time? So I think that the fact that her focus is, like, fixing this relationship, it's just...
kind of, proves the point.
Yeah, it's inevitable that they're going to get back together. And she tells him, quote, "I don't hate you as much tonight." And he says, quote, "It's the alcohol. Don't worry, you'll despise me again tomorrow." My poor little heart.
I know.
Xaden pulls her in for an embrace and uses this opportunity to put on a show outwardly for anybody watching. And inwardly, he uses this as an opportunity to warn her through their mind-to-mind connection.
So they're having 2 different conversations at the same time, which is, like, what I always say. Like, I just can't imagine doing it. My brain would just break.
I know. But if you think about it, like sometimes we'll be chatting in our DMs. Meanwhile, we're chatting on like Messenger. Meanwhile, we're having
but it's different because it's like
it's not live.
It's not live. Like if you and I are talking right now, imagine trying to keep another conversation going in your head while we're talking.
Okay, but we're not talking like this. Like we'd be talking much slower. There'd be pauses in between sentences. So like during the pause in between sentences is when we talk. Yeah.
All right, well.
He tells her that their dragons won't be able to communicate through the distance, but that they'll be able to sense emotions, which is an interesting little factoid. Mm-hmm. He warns her that leadership will read all their communications. He also warns her not to get involved in anything Bodhi or the others are doing, which is presumably continuing their spy behavior.
Yeah, and getting the weapons out and all of that. Yeah,
exactly. And again, Violet in this moment really frustrated me because she's like, you're really not going to change, are you?
Yeah.
And he goes, it's not about us. Every eye will be on you, and you don't have a rebellion relic to hide your actions from Melgren if you're caught alone. Involving yourself endangers everything we've worked for. And it's, I know what you were just saying. She's still hurt. She's still upset, but she's also a highly logical individual who processes information very quickly. And again, she's making it about her when it's so clearly not about her.
I know. It does, and I think we said this before, but it does feel like it goes against what we know of Violet and how she's behaved this whole time. It's kind of like, where is this coming from? But anyway.
He tells her that he's going to miss her. Mm-hmm. And honestly, he just says all the right things when she's like, oh, you just think of all the spare time you're going to have without, having to train me or whatever. And he goes, I'd rather have you under me on the mat than spare time.
Yeah.
Get me a fan. Get me a fan.
He's like fully flirting with her.
I know.
And then he leans into her, almost kissing her, but doesn't. And Violet doesn't break in that moment. I would have broken. See, I broke. No, but like, how is she keeping it together?
I know. It's so impressive and kind of frustrating.
Ugh.
But, he goes, like, still don't trust me. She goes, with my life. Trust him with your heart, okay?
It's insane.
I know.
And also, I think part of it, though, is, I mean, yes, he's extremely attractive and, like, says all the right things and everything. But I also agree with him. So.
What do you mean?
Like, I agree with everything he's saying in terms of like, this is bigger than us and it's not. So I already, like, I have nothing against this guy. Whereas Violet is still holding something against this guy,
Yeah. Yeah, but you also have 9 years on her, 10 years on her. Mm-hmm. Oh, you grow up a lot in your 20s.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think, like, this is her, as far as we know, this is her first actual relationship.
Yeah.
So I think that.
Oh, I have said and done dumb things in my youth.
Yeah.
Like, I understand.
Yeah, I think we need to maybe extend her a little bit of grace, says the woman who's going to eviscerate her. No, I'm not going to eviscerate her, but still, I'm going to be very annoyed with her for the next little while.
Yeah.
So Xaden doesn't give her what she wants, ? Meaning the kiss, and is like, too bad. Like I said, anticipation is good for us. Good for you, maybe, Xaden, but not good for me. Violet lashes out at him and is like, so immature, I just want to knock her over.
Doesn't she, like, threaten to sleep with someone?
Exactly. She's, like, calling his bluff, like, or she's trying to bait him with a bluff about taking some other guy to bed. And I'm just like, who are you kidding? She's just like, basically, I want him to feel the same uncertainty that I do. But he refuses to take the bait. This man is rock solid. Like, there is no uncertainty. Like, he knows he loves her. He knows he wants to be with her. Mm-hmm.
And he knows she loves him too.
Exactly. He knows that she won't take someone else to bed because he knows that she loves him.
Yeah.
So, anyway, she shoos him off because she's annoyed with him. Mm-hmm. Rhiannon finds her and she's fighting back a smile. And Violet notices that she's holding something.
Wait, what is she holding? I don't remember that.
Oh, you don't remember that?
No.
Oh. She's holding a piece of paper, which has orders on them, which officially makes Rhiannon squad leader.
Right.
Yay.
Yay, Rhiannon.
But then we find out Dane is their wing leader.
Yeah, boo. I know. Oh, man. Do not want to give this man power. But anyway.
The rest of the gang joins in on the celebration. Sawyer asks what her first order to the squad is, and this gave me goosebumps.
Broke me.
Yeah. Rhiannon looks at each of them and says, live. Well, at least we know what that means.
No, oh, I know. Anytime there's any like pointing to living or surviving or mention of living and surviving in the quadrant, someone dies shortly after.
100%.
And she delivered.
Yep.
It's coming.
It is coming. Actually, it's coming twice.
Yeah. Awards.
What is your most romantic line?
I didn't have one.
Really? Oh, I had because you still love me.
Oh.
I just love his certainty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And strength in that knowledge.
Overall, I didn't do great in terms of awards this episode.
Me too.
It was
tough. I struggled.
Tough. Yeah.
I struggled.
I think because we're still near the beginning of the book, it's just a lot of information and a lot of setting up and like, I guess less interaction. I don't know. I just had trouble. But
meanwhile, for chapter 10, I had about 5 million most romantic lines. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, yes. Funniest line.
Fuck off and leave, Ryerson. I would, but you've got a death grip on me.
I put, it's the alcohol. Don't worry, you'll despise me again tomorrow.
That's not funny.
Well, it's because, like you said, they're rock solid whether she likes to admit it or not. So it's kind of funny because he's like, yeah, you'll hate me. Don't worry. Like, playing into her game, but
I did not like that.
Really?
Yeah. All right, what's your spiciest line?
I'd much rather have you under me on the mat than spare time.
Aww. Yeah, I like that one.
I'd much rather that too, Zayden.
Ooh, yeah. Mine is his mouth hovers above mine, all promise and no delivery.
Mm-hmm. Chapter 7. New year, new classroom, new professor. We learn that second year will implement a rider survival course in which students can be whisked away and interrogated at any moment. Feeling conflicted with the knowledge she must keep secret, Violet heads to her happy place, the archives. She will not sit by while the revolution happens, so she decides to dive into the history of Basgiath to find a way to win this war.
The pre-chapter blurb comes from a newbie. We've never heard of him before. Colonel Daxton. So it's Colonel Daxton's guide to excelling in the scribe quadrant.
In the scribe quadrant, yes. Our favorite place.
Yeah. All tome requests at the archives of Basgiath must be recorded and filed. Any cadet who fails to do so will be reported for dereliction of duty as well as punished for the loss of any text they failed to accurately track. So, we know we're going to the archives, and this just gives us that little...
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, could be dangerous in the sense that, like, if you're looking into stuff you shouldn't be looking into, they have a way to track it, but...
Yeah.
Anyway.
I feel like nothing crazy happens during this chapter. It's more of like a context and day in the life kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We learn, like you said in your synopsis, of a new class that is new to second years. And we get some additional, like, atmospheric details about the influx of civilians because tomorrow is conscription day.
Mm-hmm.
Nadine joins the group, making it to class in the nick of time, but she's injured her hand, and while it should have been something Nolan could mend quickly, apparently he's been run ragged since War Games. Park.
Yeah. Kind of scary.
Yeah.
I also, in this moment, I have my first side note of the season.
Okay.
I'm annoyed about the pen thing. I find it so dumb. And if they can't have pens with ink that write, how do they have vibrant hair dyes? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
They didn't have pens in ancient Egypt, but they had hair dye.
Vibrant hair dyes? Pinks and blues and oranges? That stuff's hard to anyway, I
will tell you, I visited ancient Egypt. And, well, I didn't visit ancient Egypt. I visited temples of ancient Egypt,
yes.
which to this day still have tons of pigment on the walls, even like outdoor walls, exposed to the elements. So I feel like, but they were still like carving into rock to communicate. So I feel like that's going to be my argument.
Okay.
I'm pushing back on your first sidebar.
I get annoyed every time the pen thing is brought up. I just think it's silly. Like, either have quills or pens. Don't have a lesser magic that makes pens work. It's silly.
But they have to give the second year something to feel superior about.
And pens is what they chose.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're in the new class and stuff, and they're talking. And at one point, Violet makes a dark joke.
Yeah.
And it falls so flat.
I know.
But I thought it was funny.
You thought it was funny?
Yeah.
I got so much secondhand embarrassment.
I thought it was funny.
I thought it was so cringe. But in the defense of this interaction, Rhiannon does show her super amazing friend skills with her whole, if you want, like, I'm around to talk.
Yeah, I'm here if you need to talk. And she's just dealt with Violet with such grace and has been such a supportive friend and doesn't push. And it's just, I think it's what Violet needs right now, but I think also at a certain point she's gonna have to push a little harder because otherwise Violet's just gonna slip away.
Yeah. As someone who is very communicative about her feelings, like when I am feeling a certain way, I reach out to people and I need to talk about it. But my best friend is the complete opposite. When she's going through something difficult, she kind of closes in on herself and just needs to take that time and then she can talk about it later. I think it's so beautiful and strong of Rhiannon to just be there. Like, she's not dumb. She knows that something really bad happened and that her friend is suffering. And as somebody whose instinct would have been to hound her until she kind of spills her guts and unburdens herself, I just want to pour one out for Rhiannon.
For Rhiannon,
Yeah. The gang is introduced to a new professor, Professor Grady, and as he introduces himself, Violet is struck with the realization of the fact that there are so few second years.
Yeah.
She asks Taryn if the reason fewer dragons are bonding is because the Empyrean knows about the venom, and he's like, yes, but he's exasperated with her, and I'm just wondering, why do you think that is? Is it because he's annoyed that it's taken her so long to catch on, or because he's annoyed with the Empyrean?
Oh. Interesting. I kind of thought that maybe the dragons are just like, you know what? Navarre's not it. Like, I think they might start, like, they might have, like, realized that Navarre, the way things are going in Navarre, like, might not be the only way to win this war because they are aware of the venom. But then again, Taryn wasn't aware of the venom.
No, Taryn was aware of the venom.
Oh, I thought he wasn't.
I'm pretty sure he was. That's why Violet was mad at him.
Oh.
Because he
I thought we
kept
talked about him not.
He didn't know about the wyvern.
Oh, right. But he knew about the venom.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, so maybe they're like, the way Navarre is running things isn't doing it, so they don't want to bond riders because they have a different solution. I don't know. I feel like they have secret. Well, he says that humans aren't the only one with secrets. So I'm like, what are these secrets? Taryn, what's going on behind closed doors?
I want to insert the, like, you know, the big eye emojis that are like.
Yeah.
So Professor Grady congratulates the class on surviving, basically, and notes that there are only 89 of them, which, according to the scribes, major eye roll here because we have to take what they say with a grain of salt. This is the smallest class since the first 6. So this is the second mention of the first 6. Meanwhile, we met an entire book without having heard of them. And this is the second mention in this book alone.
Yeah.
Clearly, they're important. Remember that last year, there were 101 dragons at Threshing, if we count Andarna. But there were dragons that chose not to bond. So let's think on the situation of why there are less and less dragons. Where are the excess dragons going? / what are they doing? / why?
That's what I was saying. Like, what's going on? If they're choosing not to bond, where are they going?
Yeah.
What are they up to?
Yeah.
So Navarre is not it.
So what do you think?
Well, now we know there's a rebellion, so there's people outside the walls, and there's.
So you think they're going there?
I don't know, but they're not. They're obviously not happy with, or have realized that their solution of Navarre isn't working, so they're going elsewhere. Where? I don't know. There's so much more of the map that we haven't explored yet.
That's true. That's
very true. Hard to say.
That's true. Professor Grady casually drops that the class they're in is a top secret class called Riders Survival Course, or RSC. The gang is shocked that Violet has never heard of this class, and she's like, meh, par for the course, because I know nothing, because everything I was taught was a lie.
Yeah, well. But can I just say that he's like, good, we kept it a secret, and that's the goal.
Yeah.
I am sorry. Have you ever talked with young adults, like there is no secret that is kept secret. Everyone tells each other everything. There is no way the school would keep this course a secret. Like it would get out.
Well, like, not if the other option of like, if you tell, we burn you alive.
Yeah, but they wouldn't necessarily know who told. I think the secret would get out. I don't think they would manage to keep it a secret.
I don't know.
I think there would be rumors, and then like, oh, I've heard tell that there's this thing, and like people would be like, nah, like maybe brush it off. But I do think it would get out. I really, really don't think they'd keep, like, for nobody to know, like, not a chance.
But think, Mira told Violet not to make friends. So if you're told not to make friends, you're told to only kind of, the underlying feeling there is only look out for yourself, right? Like, look out for number one. Yeah. Don't have anyone else's back. Why would you tell someone else of what incentive would you have to share?
Students would be disappeared, tortured, and come back. Like, people would notice, like, hey, where's this person? Why did they come back with a black eye? Like, I don't know. Why did they come back with broken fingers? I don't know. Like, it just feels insane to me that nobody noticed.
But think, there are menders. So if somebody is tortured, they will be...
Yeah, but there's a mental aspect to that. Anyway,
Yes, there might be a mental aspect to that. I'm just going to keep pushing you, okay? There's a mental aspect to that, but this is a quadrant that prioritizes and valorizes strength.
Yeah.
Not that having any mental health issues makes you weak. It's just...
in their eyes.
In the conventional wisdom. Mm-hmm. So there's a way. There's a way.
Unless they're, like, mind wiping them. I don't know. No,
there's that, too, because Imogen, that's her signet, but right? Then
they wouldn't learn anything. Anyway, it just seems absurd to me.
It's a fantasy book. Okay,
I know. You're bringing up good points, but...
Thank you. So this is what Professor Grady tells the class. RSE will teach you how to survive if you become separated from your dragon behind enemy lines. It's a staple of your second year, culminating in 2 full evaluations you must pass in order to continue at Basgiath. 1 in a few weeks and 1 around mid-year. So not only do we have no true idea of what this class is about, but we also don't know when the evaluations will be. Mm-hmm. This is so freaking stressful as a professional planner. Like, I put so much in my iCal, like everything. My iCal and my reminders are like my... ride or die. Like, I put everything in there.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
My sense of accomplishment, like everything. So not knowing when I would not be able to cope.
Yeah. But it's the same way they ran, like, the war games of, like, how, like, oh, you don't know how the point system works. You don't know how you're being evaluated. Like, they seem to be a trend of just like,
Yeah, it's very laissez-faire.
Yeah.
Then Rhiannon asked the question that every good student would. What the hell do they do with a bonded rider who doesn't pass? And this is when we get a glimpse of a girl named Carolyn Ashton, who comes back later on in this chunk of chapters. She used to be friends with Jack Barlow, who Rebecca reminds us is the rider who had been intent on killing Violet until she killed him. Mm-hmm. Very funny, Rebecca. Like, as if we needed any reminder of who this guy was.
We forgot who Jack Barlow was. Yeah, I find sometimes, I wonder... I mean, I guess it was written so close to the first one, but sometimes in reading it, there was, like, passages that it was almost written in a way that, like, well, if you didn't read the first one, you could just jump in here and get the info anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's very common in sequels for there to be these little nuggets of information to remind you of things that happened in the past. But most people, remember, Elise, read this book in, like, 2 days.
Yeah.
They don't spend 3 months.
Yeah.
Anyway, Grady says that the class will teach them navigation, survival techniques, and how to withstand interrogation. If I were in this class, I would be like, fail me right here, right now.
I know.
There is no chance I would pass. Navigation, maybe. Survival techniques, no chance. Torture, forget it. Yeah. Forget it.
And based on the trigger warnings we read at the beginning of this book, I'm like, uh-oh, no.
Grady is like, basically, as long as you survive the interrogation, you'll be fine. Like, no big deal. Rhiannon puts her hand up. She's like, and if we break?
Yeah.
Grady's like, don't. In an attempt to calm herself after the absolute terror she must be feeling post-RST, Violet heads to her safe place, the archives. Mm-hmm. She's smelling the books, and it's calming her instantly. And I wanted to know, What is that like instant calming smell for you?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't like strong smells, although like a library doesn't smell strong necessarily. So I'm not like I'm not a smelly person. No. I don't love like smells that really hit you, but that's still a very good question. I don't know. What's yours? Do you have a calming smell?
I have so many calming smells. I love the smell of like a spa, like eucalyptus, and I love the smell of incense. Growing up, like the church that we go to always has like tons of incense, so like that smell really is comforting. I love the smell of freshly ground coffee.
Yeah, coffee's a great smell.
I love the smell of butter, garlic, and onions.
Hey, that's a good list.
Yeah. I could probably keep going if I thought about it really.
See, like
I love smells. See, like I'm a smell person.
Yeah, I find like incense too strong. Like I don't like it. And like if I burn candles, I always get scentless candles. There's very few smelly candles that I like. Basically, it's just like if it's a subtle smell, I'll like it. But if it's, and I find most things that are like perfumey or smelly too strong.
Yeah.
So.
Like I went to Sephora the other day, like last weekend or something. And for the first time ever, I was like, I need to get out of this store as soon as possible. I don't know what. Maybe it was because it was super busy. It was like a Saturday morning. People were testing the perfumes.
Yeah.
Like that, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I find it very oppressive. Like a Bed Bath & Beyond, forget it.
Yeah.
Okay, back to Iron Flame. Turns out that Violet has been trying to catch Jessenia. That is the most Egyptian way you could pronounce a J I've ever heard. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. It just slipped out like that.
Yeah.
Like my grandparents don't call Justin, they call him Justin.
That's funny.
Okay. She's been trying to catch Jessenia on the scribe schedule because girl has got a plan. After being on the sidelines all this time, she is getting involved. This is the Violet we love. This is the Violet we know. Not the pitying, self-pitying girl, the one who takes action and uses her strength to her advantage.
To find solutions.
Exactly.
Yeah, she says the revolution might not have a scribe in its ranks, but it has me.
Yes.
But that did make me pause to think.
Yeah.
The book is written by Jessenia, who is a scribe. So I was like, with all the truths we're finding in the book,
yes,
the revolution does have a scribe.
Not saying anything.
Unless this whole thing is a lie. Anyway.
Okay, no. I'll tell you that much. This whole thing is not a lie.
Well, yeah, but it's just the fact that Jessenia is writing the truths about the Venin in these books that we are reading gives me pause to think that she is on the right side of the revolution. Anyway.
Okay. As Violet waits for Jessenia, she thinks to herself, quote, "Gods, I miss this place. I miss what I thought my life would be. Simple, quiet, noble. But I don't miss the woman I was, the one who didn't know her strength, the one who believed everything she read with unfailing confidence, as if the simple act of writing something on a blank page made it gospel." Yes. Yes, a glimpse of the Violet we love.
Yep.
Are we out of the woods, Elise?
No, but I'd like to be. Yeah, no, it was nice to see, like, the Violet we know and love, because she's been a little grumpy.
Yeah, she's been hiding.
She's going through stuff. It's okay.
That's okay. Jessenia arrives and they enthusiastically greet each other. Apparently, they're alone except for Nastia Park. Nastia is the guard who's sleeping. Jessenia extends her condolences and notices Violet's hesitance. Violet is having this internal conflict of whether or not she can trust her friend Jessenia.
Yeah.
On one hand, she knows that she's probably trying for the hardest of the degrees of the scribes. Side note, there are multiple types of degrees scribes could get, but there's only one in the writer's quadrant, I guess, like, survive.
Yeah, it kind of, I guess, works, though, like, in terms of, like...
Yeah. On the other hand, she can't imagine not being able to trust Jessenia. Yeah. So, she's having this little struggle. Finally, she asks Jessenia about old books, about the founding of Biscayeth, and why they chose this location in particular for the wards. But her lack of trust kind of wins out because she lies about why she needs this information.
Yeah. Which, at this point, like, play it safe. It's hard, too. Like, Jessenia might be in Violet's shoes of last year. Like, she might not know anything.
She probably doesn't.
And she probably doesn't. So it's just like, what is her take gonna be when
Yeah.
she finds out? Like, it's a scary thing it's a scary line to toe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Justinia returns with 2 books written over 100 years ago. Not far back enough, methinks. And Violet thinks to herself, the answer to protecting Aurasia is in the archives. It has to be. I just have to find it before not even the wards can save us. Before we get into awards, I need to caveat and be totally honest.
Okay.
I literally have no awards for this chapter.
None?
No. I found that there were very few sentences that struck out, which, like, I kind of already highlighted during our chapter discussions, but there was absolutely nothing romantic. I mean, maybe Rhiannon's comment about, like, being there for her.
Yeah, I didn't have a romantic one.
Okay.
But I found the other two.
You found something funny? I didn't find anything funny, except for maybe when everyone thought, like, Violet knew everything, and she's like,
Oh,
what did you find funny?
When Riddick says, no one wants my genuine reactions.
Okay. Yeah. Nah. And there was definitely nothing spicy.
Well, there's sassy.
What did you put?
Fuck not getting involved.
Oh. But see, I don't find that sassy. I find that, like, resolved.
Yeah, but it's like,
Yeah.
down with the system.
Yeah, okay.
Go.
Well, Elise did her homework. I did not.
That's okay. Chapter 8.
Chapter 8.
It's conscription day, and we're back on the parapet with a new batch of cadets. Emotions run high, and familiar faces appear as potential recruits. At formation, Major Varish's dragon takes out more than just the runaways. Though Violet rid herself of many enemies last year, it is clear that she has enlisted some new ones for the year ahead. It's going to be a rough one.
Yeah, this is a rough chapter. The pre-chapter blurb comes from page 84 of the Book of Brennan. It says, "It is one thing to cross the parapet your first year, but watching countless candidates lose their life to it feels like dying too. Don't watch if you can help it."
Yeah, I mean, that would suck to watch people fall to their death repeatedly.
Yeah, for hours on end.
Ugh. Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. The chapter opens with Violet pondering conscription day, and she's anxious for what's to come and what is undoubtedly an emotionally taxing day, but also because Dane is within touching distance of her.
Yeah. She slams her shields down when she sees Dane, and then she fantasizes pushing him off the tower. It was just kind of satisfying.
Yeah. What a difference a year makes, eh?
It's true, because the first time we met Dane was
We were like, oh.
this day.
Yeah,
Crazy.
100%. Exactly. We have this really sweet moment with Rhiannon attributing her ability to cross the parapet successfully to Violet's generosity. And Violet goes, "I only gave you a little more traction. You had the courage and balance to make it across."
Yeah.
Love that.
Then we find out that only 91 dragons are willing to bond this year, which is less than last year.
Yeah, it's 10 less than last year and only 2 more than the current second-year class, which is interesting. But before that, I wanted to bring you back to actually a conversation we had season 1, episode 1 about the storm. Because Nadine comments on the weather and she's like, oh, it was raining like on our parapet. And hopefully the fact that it's clear skies today will allow more candidates to cross successfully. She even goes so far as to say, quote, "You'd have thought your mother would have held off the storm last year considering you were crossing." So now I want to bring you back to Elise from last season, who had never read the book or had only read 3 chapters of Fourth Wing. Do you think that the storm on Violet's conscription day was intentional, yes or no?
No, I don't think the mom made it happen. It might have been tied to her emotions, but she didn't intentionally make it happen. Like, she wasn't trying to knock Violet off. Because that's just kind of based on like what we learn more recently of how Violet's mom didn't know about them being sent to their death. And like, she still sucks, but I don't think she's trying to kill Violet.
Yeah, she's not inherently evil.
So I don't think she did it on purpose, but she could have stopped and she didn't. So there's still that kind of like, well,
maybe a more positive spin on that aspect is that she values the meritocracy of the Riders Quadrant and maybe values that above all else. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So Dane instructs the girls on the rules. Rhiannon and Violet are only to take the final roll before the parapet, and they are specifically told not to engage. And again, we know what that means. Meanwhile, Violet's thinking about Xaden's imminent visit, and she informs the reader that he left books on the craft of weaving fabric into traditional Tirish knots for her, including the little strips of fabric to make said knots on her desk. And I just think this is so cute.
Yes, however, Violet has never shown any interest in anything crafty that I just found it a weird choice.
Maybe it's foreshadowing, question mark?
Oh, maybe. Then that would be the only explanation. Because I was like, that's fucking weird. Like, there's just, like, I get, like, wanting to leave her a little gift or, like, something. Or, like, here, do this. But, like,
yeah, but it's like weird. His heritage, his culture.
That's weird.
I think it's cute.
Sure.
What really got me, though, was the note that said, I meant what I said on the parapet. Even when I'm not with you, there's only you.
Yeah, I wrote that, too.
It's so freaking cute. Oh, I can't cope. Okay. Turns out that Nadine didn't have a job, but was just bored, so she's hanging out with them, which, again, is just such a change in Nadine. Like, Nadine was the snarky girl who wanted nothing to do with the marked ones. She was super, like, standoffish, and now all of a sudden, like, they're all besties.
Mm-hmm. I know. Yeah. Well, whatever. She came around to the marked ones, I guess.
Yeah. Dane can't help himself. He makes a comment about kind of Nadine being there and whatever. He's just a caca. And Rhiannon snarks back at him. She says, quote, there are no regulations about 4 riders on the turret during parapet. Don't even get me started this morning, Atos. And she says, after that, and if you even think about telling me to call you wing leader, I'll remind you that Ryerson did a hell of a job without needing everyone to supplicate themselves to him. And Nadine mutters, because he scared the shit out of everyone. Well, everyone except Violet. This is what I love about a book. I love banter, sassiness.
Yeah.
Banter. Insinuations of a romance.
Yeah, banter's a good. And, like, the banter in this book is fantastic.
Yeah, Rebecca Yarros is just a great writer.
Agreed. So the candidates start arriving, and Violet's struggling, knowing that, like, she can't give them advice, but she wants to. And the roller coaster of emotions, like, I feel like I was right there with her. Because I would also want to help these poor people who, like, just don't know what they're getting into. And she had a little bit of help from Mira and Brennan indirectly, and it's just like I can't imagine standing there and like just not being allowed to, like, if you notice, like, oh my god, that poor person's boots, or like, oh my god, like the hair, like it just anything, like, and she just has to bottle it all up. Like, oh, I was very stressed reading this chapter.
Yeah, she does take note though of the aggressive ones.
Yeah,
we do have a Jack Barlow Jr., and he is described as a bull of a guy with a deeply cleft chin who charges across, tossing the scrawny red-haired candidate, struggling at the midway point without hesitation. Literally,
just a repeat of last year.
It's a repeat of last year. So wild. And then we meet Cam/Eric. Mm-hmm. He's someone that Violet clearly knows very well because she mentions not only his brothers but his dad. Did you have a clue who this was?
No.
Okay,
my jaw dropped.
Really?
Yeah.
Yay.
My jaw dropped. I was like, oh my
God. I'm so happy.
Kintar's son. Like, oh my goodness.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that because you usually are so intuitive.
No, it's crazy. Like, anyway, at this point where we are in the book, nobody has recognized him, which I also find crazy, but anyway, I'm excited.
But just think, it's not like they have social media or traditional media where
no, but if
your photo is
but the teachers
disseminated. Well, they did say that Markham would have. Well, we'll get there later. Okay. But in Battle Brief, I think he's got a different haircut and he's purposefully hiding.
Yeah. Anyway,
so
it's
Dane,
very exciting.
Yeah. Dane comes up to him and is like, "Are you sure? And does your father know?" And he's like, "It's none of my dad's business. I'm 20. And Dane's like, "Yeah, okay, because that's going to make a difference when he realizes what you're doing. And then he kills us all." And Eric goes, "Are you going to tell him?" And it's just such a delicious nugget from Rebecca because Eric doesn't know that Dane is a snitch. But it's true. She's like, there's no way, you know? It has to be like a known fact
Yeah.
that Dane is a goody two shoes that like tells on everyone and like not a cool kid. Like, I don't know.
He just sucks.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny. Dane's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to say anything. And Eric's like, good, then do me a favor and ignore me.
Yeah.
But he says that to Dane, but he doesn't say that to Violet. What does this mean?
Oh, I just figured he trusted Violet.
Okay. Eric adjusts his pack and starts across the parapet, and Violet just can't bring herself to watch.
Yeah.
Rhiannon is no idiot. She knows something is up, and she asks, like, who's that guy? And Violet goes, officially, his name is Eric Greycastle. Unofficially, he's King Tari's third son. Mm-hmm. Remember.
His brother died in this. Yeah.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Good for you.
I remembered.
Good for you.
I know. It's crazy. Anyway, it was very exciting. And then next,
we meet Sloane.
Liam's little sister shows up.
Yeah.
And then Violet cracks. She goes into big sister mode.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, no, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. Like, I will take care of her. Yeah. That was Liam's death wish. Like,
his dying wish.
His dying wish. Yeah. So...
Side note, Sloane is such a cool name. Like, you can't imagine an uncool girl named Sloane.
I know. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the girl's name is Sloane, and I watched that movie like a million times as a kid. That's my only other Sloane I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she goes into big sister mode, and she braid your hair, gives her pointers, put your arms out. Like, she's doing everything Mira did for her, which was just so nice.
I love a pay it forward moment.
I know. But then Dane, what does he do? He tries to put his little face in there and be like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, Violet doesn't care.
No.
And anyway, like, Rhiannon sees that it's Sloane and, like, she gets emotional. Like, everyone kind of gets emotional about it. So Dane is just a dummy.
Ugh. He just, like, read the room, Dane. Yeah. Stop interrupting every good moment. Like, that's just his role in life. Interrupt all the good moments.
I know. It is not a happy reunion, though, to say the least, because... Let's just say that Sloane holds a grudge.
Sure, yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, she blames Violet for Liam's death, which...
Violet kind of blames herself as well.
Well, that's the thing. It's hard. Like, it's indirectly kind of... She did have a role to play in it, and like, but indirectly. Mm-hmm. So it's tough. It's hard. I don't blame Sloane for being mad at Violet.
Me too, but I also like that Violet doesn't fall into her negative self-talk here because she says, feel free to hate me. Just do me a favor and put your fucking arms out so you don't see Liam before I do. Do it for him, not me.
Mm-hmm. Well said, Violet.
Yeah. Violet watches her cross the parapet and absolutely wrecks my little heart when she whispers, she made it. As if she's whispering into Liam.
I know.
Oh, that got me so choked up.
I know. Oh. I do wonder, though, how did Sloane know what happened?
I don't know.
Weird. It's all supposed to be secrets.
Well, you can think maybe like Imogen or Bodhi or Xaden wrote to her to tell her. Yeah.
Fair.
So turns out 71 candidates fell from the parapet, which is more than last year. And last year was storming, like we were just talking about. Do you have a hypothesis as to why more people fell this year?
No.
Okay.
I guess we'll find out based on how you're asking me.
No.
Do you have a hypothesis then?
No.
Okay.
But I usually read things without thinking. I just read, accept, move on. Okay, you read and think.
Yes. Well, I accepted that one. I was just like, oh, that sucks. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay. They're getting their assignments for squads and wings and stuff, and the nervous energy is palpable. Nadine and Riddick are like, this is weird. And like, they want to reassure the first years. And Imogen says, quote, don't get attached. They're all dragon fodder until threshing. This will be a trend through the beginning of this book. Understandably so.
Like the don't get attached?
Don't get attached, yeah. Sloane is called to another wing, but Dane steps in and switches her. And this is such a callback to book one when Violet and Rhiannon get switched to fourth wing. But this is also a peace offering, question mark?
Well, that's kind of what I was like, is he just feeling guilty? Is he like where?
I think he's trying to make peace for Violet, with Violet. Like, I don't think it's guilt over Liam. It's like, I know this is important to you, Violet, so I'm going to do something for you to show you that, like, I'm still your friend.
Okay, sure. But then part of me was like, is it codex reasons too? Like Sloane can't kill Violet.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway, I just don't know what's going on. In
Yeah,
his
that's a
head.
good. That's actually really good
But
thinking.
it would make sense if it was just like a peace offering.
Yeah. Sloane refuses, as if the girl has a choice. And Imogen comes to Rhiannon's defense with the funniest little dig. You're acting like a spoiled aristocrat. I like that.
I mean, she's kind of acting, yeah.
But you know, like
Bratty.
usually, you're acting like a spoiled brat, or you're
Yeah.
acting like a princess, or
Yeah.
you're like a spoiled aristocrat.
Yeah.
The opening ceremony starts, and now it's Dane's turn to make the big speech that
Yeah.
Xaden did. And I was reading this again, and I was wondering, like, how did they pick who's going to speak? Because when it was Xaden, it was obvious he was the most powerful
Yeah.
rider,
Yeah.
you know, the most powerful wing leader. But with Dane, it feels like it's giving Nepo baby.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Probably. I mean, he also probably was like, I'm going to do it. I have to do it.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah. Like, he wants to be the big shot. He's wanted
Yeah,
to be the big
he
shot.
wants
from
to be
the
like
beginning.
Xaden.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah. Just can't cut it, though.
Nope. Except we must remember, Dane is highly attractive.
Yeah. Yeah, personality could really ruin that, though. But anyway.
That is very true.
So we're at the part where the dragons come to scare the first years.
Yeah, I think that this is like a part of the whole process.
Yeah, they need to like instill fear and also just weed out whoever's going to run. Like that's part of it.
Yeah, for
too.
sure.
But there's an unknown orange dagger tail this time
One-eyed.
with
orange
one
dragon.
eye.
Yeah.
And it turns out that it's Major Barish's dragon,
Yeah.
Solus.
Yeah. Solus.
Solus. 3 people try to run
Yeah.
and Solus unleashes fire, but not just taking out the running people, intentionally targeting where Violet is standing.
Yeah. So I am always nervous around orange dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, 2 people that we do not like or did not like had an orange
dragon.
Jack and Amber Mavis.
Oh, Amber did too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except when I Googled this, because I wanted to just remember, I don't know what I was Googling. Maybe it was like the characteristics of an orange dragon. Whatever. I saw something that made me feel very, very, very nervous. One more character has an orange dragon. Can you guess who?
Can I guess?
Yeah.
I feel like, has it been mentioned before?
Yeah.
Was it Brennan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That makes me nervous.
That's a little scary, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it in that context, but yeah, at the back of my mind, I think I
Well, if you
knew
just
it.
think like these orange dragons are clearly picking like no bueno people. Anyway, it could be nothing, but I just went down like a Reddit dragon.
Dragon
A dragon hole. That's what we should call our tangents. Dragon holes. It sounds dirty.
It does. It does. It sounds like I don't want to be in a dragon hole. Anyway,
Violet reaches out to Taryn and she's like, "Oh, you didn't feel like coming and showing off your intimidation skills?" And he says, "I do not participate in parlor tricks." I love his haughtiness.
Yes. But he does come later
Yeah.
to stick up for Violet.
Yeah, because he didn't know that Solas was there, which is kind of shocking because you'd think like he'd have known either because it's kind of open communication among the dragons of like who goes to the opening ceremony. That's like what we're calling it. But it just makes you really think about the dragon governance side of things if now we're learning about these kind of information silos. Because one would expect, since Taryn is the second most powerful dragon in the Vale,
Yeah.
that he would be up there in the
and
decision-making and
very
knowledge
aware.
and stuff. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. There's also a brief mention, I don't know if you picked up on this, of Dane's dragon Kath having really bad breath.
Yeah. Because, yeah, she's like, oh, there must be something stuck in her teeth or something.
Yeah, there's no answers in this book. But I did find it a weird thing to be like
Mentioned.
explicitly mentioned. And we should park it.
Okay. Basically, the Daggertail breathes fire to kill the runaways.
Yeah.
But purposefully aiming it at fourth wing and knocks out almost the entire third wing in the process. Like, kills a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Scorches.
Third squad, not third win. Yeah.
Sorry. Scorches Violet's back.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously they were trying to kill Violet, but it's just like it's so scary and reckless. I find that it goes back to like Jack Barlow. Like, no one gets punished for being evil or bad or reckless in the Riders Quadrant, and I can't cope.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's very true, and we're gonna see it later. I think it's in chapter 9. The just weird relationship they have with the Codex.
I know.
Everyone surrounding Violet survives if they listen to her. Mm-hmm. And all of, her friends survive except for Kieran. Mm-hmm. Rip. And Commandant Panchek is like, get back into formation. Mm-hmm. Riders do not balk at fire. Except whoever didn't balk is dead.
Yeah.
So
balking was a good thing to do there, Panchek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly, this wasn't part of the rehearsed ceremonial activities because everyone, all the wing leaders are like shook, including Dane. Mm-hmm. Violet starts to think that this wasn't an accident, but before they can speak about it, Varys starts a speech where he says, quote, "It is not only the first years who earn their leathers at Basgiath. The wings are only as strong as their weakest rider." Mm-hmm. Sounds like Jack Barlow. Remember he kept saying she's the weakest link, she's the weakest. Anyway.
But she's not.
No, I know. She's really
the most powerful. Like, what?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's when Taryn swoops in and intimidates Solas, basically. We don't know what the conversation is, but we get that Taryn is like, do not touch her.
Yeah.
And if you ever touch her again, he kind of says it, I think, afterwards.
Yeah, he says, you do not have the right to burn what is mine.
Yeah. So Taryn's the big bad and scares Solas away, which made me really happy. But part of me was just like, Violet should just like zap Varys now. Like, get it over with.
Yeah, but can she aim still?
No.
No. There you go.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah. Taryn says, "If Solas comes near you again, he knows I will devour his human whole and let him rot within me while his heart still beats, and then I'll take the eye I so graciously left him." I have very many questions. Very many. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great English with Miriam.
It's okay.
I have many questions.
Yeah.
So clearly, one-eyed Solas. I say Solas, you know why? Because that's what they say in the audiobook for Crescent City. There's a god in Crescent City called Solas. Anyway, Solas has one eye because of Taryn.
Yeah.
So
what happened there? And that's the end of the chapter?
That's the end of the chapter. Panchek returns to the podium and seems a little nervy. Mm-hmm. But Varys looks downright murderous.
Do not like this guy.
No. He's a scary dude.
Mm-hmm. Awards?
I actually have my 3 awards for this chapter.
Okay. So why don't you start us off with your most romantic?
Even when I'm not with you, there's only you.
Oh, that was very romantic.
I love a love note.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a really good one. I just read Violet giving pointers to Sloane.
Yeah, that was really sweet too.
Yeah. Living up to her promises. Mm-hmm. Funniest line?
Let's hope the rest aren't sympathetic pukers.
Gross. "I'll be nice once I think they might stick around," she replies. "I thought you said it's not polite to lie."
Yeah, I like that interaction. I'm a sympathetic puker. So
fair.
When Justin and I like talk about when we have kids, which bodily functions each of us can handle. Right. So like he can handle puke.
Okay.
I can handle poop.
Yeah.
We can both handle pee.
Yeah.
But snot is like one that neither one of us can handle. And this weekend we were with my niece and nephew. My nephew's almost 2.
Yeah.
And he's a disgusting, snotty mess, like 99% of the time. And I was just like, I must practice.
Oh, God, yeah.
So I doubled the Kleenex and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I did it. Because my in-laws are always laughing because they're like, what are you guys going to do? Like, you're going to have no choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you'll get through it.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's different when it's your kid. I was like, I don't know. Okay.
Spiciest line.
Oh, I forgot. We're about to jump into chapter 9. Sorry, go ahead. What's your spiciest line?
"And if you even think about telling me to call you wing leader, I'll remind you that Ryerson did a hell of a job without needing everyone to supplicate themselves to him."
Mine's a sassy, sassy. Mm-hmm. Also, and it's also against Dane, and it's, "Don't you dare say another word or I'll blast you off this turret, Aetos."
There you go.
He just got his ass handed to him this chapter.
Oh, yeah. Ugh,
but you know what? I have to hand it to him. Like, he takes it. Like, he does not fight back. He just, like, takes it. Like,
I kind of picture him always, being like, like, like just kind of, like, looking like a wounded puppy.
Yeah. All right,
Are
chapter
we being
9.
too mean to him? I don't know.
No, we are not.
He almost got them killed.
Yeah.
He deserves it. Okay.
He does.
Chapter 9. Violet is struggling with the memories from her battle, but must push through her classes and act like everything is okay. Violet begins to feel like she's in limbo, unable to help the Mark ones, but also unable to act normal around her Navarian friends. We learn something suspicious is going on in the infirmary, and then we head to assessment day. Sloane is not the only first year that has it out for Violet, as we end the chapter with a head-turning moment. You like the double entendre there?
I do.
Thanks.
It's almost as good as when time snaps back, Xaden snaps next. But like that really takes the freaking cake.
Yeah.
That was a stroke of utter genius.
Thank you. I'm very proud of that one. Yeah.
The pre-chapter blurb comes from United Navarre, a study in survival by Grado Burnell, curator of the Scribe Quadrant. Every single time I say Scribe Quadrant, I want to say scribe.
We shall dub them the scribes.
Quote, in the mountains of the Steel Ridge Range, the green dragons of the... No, I can't say it.
I don't have it written.
It's a lot of vowels.
Okay.
Line, known for their keen intellect and rational countenance, offered their ancestral hatching grounds for the good of dragonkind, and the wards of Navarre were woven by the first 6 at what is now Basgiath War College. It's like U AINELOIDSIG.
LMNOP. Yeah, no, I don't know how to pronounce it either. Sorry. Violet has been having trouble sleeping and she's having nightmares. But we find out that she's just pushing through. She wakes up every morning and she goes running.
Barf.
Because you hate running.
I hate running.
Okay. And Imogen is joining her this morning. So they decide to go running, and as they're about to go, she sees her friends. She sees Rhiannon and
Bodhi. And Sawyer.
They had a leaders meeting that morning.
Yeah.
And Violet in this moment is like pushing Rhiannon away again.
Yeah.
She keeps reminding herself the line, quote, "If you can't lie, you keep your distance." And I almost wish Xaden didn't tell her that.
Yeah, but he's just trying to give her the tools, right? Like, he knows how difficult it is to have to live this double life, essentially. So he's just telling her what worked for him. And you just have to remember, the same way when Mira gave Violet advice about, like, not making friends or whatever, that was advice that worked for Mira, but it didn't work for Violet. And she's going to come to the realization eventually that there's going to be a way for her to cope with keeping the secrets, but also maintaining her friendships. And she just needs time to get to that point, I think.
Very well said.
Thank you. At first, though, when Imogen joins Violet, she thinks that Xaden put her up to it. But it turns out that Imogen just is having trouble sleeping as well. Like, she's suffering from, the consequences of their battle. And yeah, basically Violet's like, I suck at running, and if I practice, then I have a higher chance of survival. And that's kind of...
Well, yeah, we learned the reason that Violet is running is actually tactical.
Yeah, she can't stop thinking about what happened to Soleil becoming a husk of a human. So.
But it's just nice that, obviously that's horrible, but it's nice that Violet is taking that, this is the issue, this is what I need to solve. Like, I'm going to train, I'm going to get faster so I could run away. Like,
it's very much like Book 1 Violet, which we like.
We like Book 1 Violet.
We like Book 1 Violet. Yeah. The scene changes and we're in Battle Brief. It sucks that we don't have a tall, dark, and handsome shadow wielder in
the back wall.
Yeah, exactly, to like mentally flirt with, but...
Yeah, I already miss him.
I know. But you know what? We do get a lot of information, so there's that.
Yes.
Riddick makes fun of the first years using their quills. This is what you were complaining about before. And Nadine is like, there was a time where we didn't have lesser magics. to power the ink pens. So stop acting superior. And he's like, we are superior. And I'm noticing a little bit of flirty banter between the two of them. Have you not?
Oh.
There's been a lot of times, like in these last few chapters, of Riddick and Nadine kind of having a little back and forth here and there. And it's always Riddick and Nadine. We don't really hear much of Sawyer. We don't really hear much. I mean, we hear about Rhiannon, but that's more with Violet. So I just thought it was something to point out.
It's cute. I didn't notice that specifically. So
Professor De Vera walks in, and she looks different. Her hair is shorter, and she's got a fresh scar. Note that it says a jagged wound along the rich mahogany skin of her biceps. That's where the scar is. She's a person of color. And again, it's slipped in there so subtly. It is mwah, chef's kiss. I love that.
yeah, I love the way she weaves that in
Yeah.
from the beginning.
Rhiannon shares that De Vera was spending some time on the southern wing. Does that sound familiar?
Well, that's just, we know that's where all the action is, right?
That is where we're seeing more color on Brennan's map, but it's also where Xaden is stationed.
Yeah. Don't love that he's there. But anyway.
Professor De Vera introduces Professor Markham, and Violet has a visceral reaction to his existence in the classroom. Quote, he knows everything. He has to. He wrote the fucking textbook on Navarian history that all writers are taught from. And until last year, I was his star pupil, the one he'd handpicked to succeed in the scribe quadrant. And De Vera tells the class that Markham is the foremost authority at Basgiath when it comes to all matters, not only of our history, but current events as well. Some of you may not know this, but information from the front is actually received at Basgiath before it's sent to the king in Caldir. So you'll be hearing it here first, which is interesting. But also this kind of like further puts Markham as like a bad guy in the dissemination of this propaganda.
Yeah, because basically it's filtering through them, which means the king might not know. Like, they could lie to him about anything.
Well, remember I was saying in book 1 how I feel like the king is kind of like a useful idiot?
Yeah.
This kind of...
there you go.
Yeah.
It feeds right into that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Battle Brief is just so hard to swallow now that we know everything. Like, I think that was a little bit why I was saying, like, I couldn't go back to the school. Like, I cannot imagine sitting in Battle Brief.
Especially your face.
Especially my face, my super expensive face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Listening to him spew these lies and painting the Griffin Riders to be the enemy and making up these battles in which, like, the Griffin Riders are attacking. Like,
Yeah.
how can you sit there and just swallow it? It's so hard.
And if you think of back in, again, one of the first Battle Brief classes, Xaden is participating. So not only is he having to just sit there and take the utter garbage that's being taught to him, but he's, you know, really selling his cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't slip up. Like, oh
No,
my God, it's
exactly.
so stressful.
So Markham teaches the class that there were 2 attacks by drifts of griffins in the past week. The first was high in the Espen Mountains, an hour's flight from Montserrat. And remember, from Fourth Wing, griffins can't fly very high, right? It's not ideal for them. So just something to note. And apparently the attack was in the middle of the night and it was unprovoked. They stole supplies and burned homes. Unlikely, but whatever. Riddick assumes that they went after civilians, but Violet notices that Markham didn't mention any.
Yeah.
The second was in freaking Athbane. And Violet gasps like when she hears that name. And I want to hide under a desk. Just like, you know when sometimes like you have a reaction, like it just comes out of you. Like you have...
Yeah.
Anyway, I found that really embarrassing for her. She covers this up by saying, as far as I know from what you taught me in preparation for the scribe quadrant, outposts are rarely ever attacked. And Montserrat was also directly attacked in the last year, so I can't help but wonder if this tactic is becoming more commonly used by our enemy. And Markham responds, interesting thought. It's something we're considering among scribes. Interesting. Anyway, back to the attack. It occurred in the middle of the night again. And whatever, they're like continuing their lesson. Taryn, who's been on shield duty, shield watch, is like noticing that they're dropping.
Yeah.
And the first years are asking a bunch of questions. And Violet's like, no one's asking the right question. And this time, remember how in Fourth Wing she tells Rhiannon to ask a question? Well, Rhiannon asks the question herself.
Yeah.
She says, do you think it's possible that the enemy knew the outpost had been emptied for war games and was trying to take advantage of the situation? Professor Markham and De Vera like look at each other and they're like, we do. And this shows a lack in the timing of the Paromish information chain because he speaks of the Paromial trading post of Bresson nearby, which was apparently leveled by Paromish unrest a couple of weeks ago. No. It was not leveled by Paromish unrest. It was leveled by a gang of Venin.
Yeah. Just the fact that he's saying, oh, it's Paromish unrest. I was like, oh, like so mad.
I know. I wrote, excuse me.
Yeah.
like
no.
giant capital letters.
Yeah.
Violet asks where in the outposts were the Griffin Riders found, and it turns out that they're found near the armory. So she's like, okay, they were raiding the outposts for weapons.
Yeah.
The wards might not reach that far, but she'd bet her life that a cache of daggers was moved there if leadership knew Venin were in the vicinity. Brennan can't supply even a fraction of the drifts. Of course, they're going to fight to steal weaponry. We need to smuggle more out. So Violet is like taking this as like information that we just need to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. I did find it kind of surprising that they disclosed that they were found near the armories, because Navarre must realize that their armories are being raided.
Yeah, Navarre does.
No, yes. So why are they disclosing that information? Like just by saying like, oh yeah, they've been raiding and like, oh, they were near the, I don't know. But I guess if no one knows about the Venin,
if no one knows why they'd be targeting the armory.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But it just, yeah. I guess the lie is, oh, they're stealing weapons to kill us, to fight us.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. It's a good lie. It's fine.
Yeah. De Vera turns this into an exercise of strategy, asking what they would do if they were in command. And Carolyn Ashton, remember we were talking about her before, she's the brute who was friends with Jack. She suggests they double the patrol for the next few weeks in a show of force and maybe consider raising a few Paromish border villages. Codex-loving Dane is like, that's against the rules of engagement. Like,
yeah,
we
don't do that to civilians.
Exactly. And De Vera says, quote, we defend our borders with lethal force, but we don't take war to civilians. And Violet realizes that maybe the whole report is wrong. Maybe it was a wyvern attack and not a griffin attack. Maybe the entire presentation is a well-crafted lie. But when she asks how many dragon riders were injured, the answer is 4, including De Vera. So that kind of shuts down the idea that it's a Venin attack. And yeah.
Do you think Markham was thinking that Violet would hide the truth from the world? Like, she was supposed to be a star pupil. Do you think, like, in his mind, he was like, oh, yeah, she's going to be my successor?
Yeah. I do.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Just knowing what we know of Violet, like, that seems like a...
Yeah, but remember that her eyes were opened by the humanizing...
of the marked ones.
Yeah. After class, Violet is on the lookout for Bodhi, and she tells him she wants to help. And he's like, I have direct instructions not to let you help.
Yeah.
And she complains that Xaden's not even there, and he's, like, still
she's trying
in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's trying to be like, oh, you're going to let him control you? And he's like, I'm not falling for it.
Which is, I just love Bodhi. And Imogen's like, oh, is she asking to join our shenanigans? And I honestly feel for Violet. She's like, how am I expected to go to class and act as if nothing happens? And Imogen's like, you're supposed to act.
Yes.
Act being the operative word.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, Melgren could spy on her, right? He could watch her, and he probably is watching her. So it's just like she needs to
the outcome of her actions and that kind of thing.
Smart about it.
Yeah, 100%. Rhiannon meets up with Violet and mentions something that we need to park, which is that she suspects something is going on in the healer quadrant. Nolan is super busy and apparently looks like shit. And he was also in the presence of Varish, who escorted him to a door in the back of the infirmary that his guard did.
Yes. So what is going on?
Yeah.
Who's there?
Yeah. What are they hiding?
What are they hiding? Why is he being worked around the clock? Like, there is something a brew.
Something afoot.
Something afoot.
That's a Sherlock Holmes. Yeah.
Reference.
Yes.
So.
See, I love that we speak the same language. Like,
yeah.
I didn't even need to say that. You're like, yeah, I know.
No, it's okay. Maybe some listeners don't know Sherlock.
Maybe.
Anyway, so next, Violet skips lunch with her friends to continue her research on those guys and the history and the wards, but it proves useless. She doesn't find anything. And then we're at assessment day.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Violet asks Rhiannon if everything's okay. No, Rhiannon asks... No. Violet asks Rhiannon if everything's okay. Or does Rhiannon ask Violet?
I don't remember. I just remember Rhiannon calls Violet out.
Yeah.
On avoiding her.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. And I just love this act of friendship. And it's just a really healthy little communication thing.
Because it shows how you should be able to be frank with your friends.
Yeah.
And honest.
She's like, if you're mad at me, let's talk about it.
Exactly.
Snaps for Rhiannon.
Yes. Healthy friendships. We love it.
Because basically Rhiannon's concerned that she, Violet, is mad at her for not being her executive squad leader.
Yeah.
Second in command. And Violet's like, no. I'd be like the worst choice ever. I'm going to be here only half the time. And also I have no aspirations for leadership.
Yeah. I wonder how her mom feels about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if she'd care.
Does she know what happened?
The mom?
Yeah. She must.
I think she now knows, but she didn't know before. Or maybe she did know before. Like before meaning after they were sent away and before they came home.
But meaning like she knows Violet knows about the venom.
Yeah. I guess.
Is she just not
Unless
doing
Colonel
anything
Atos
about
like
it?
somehow still kept all this a secret, which I would doubt, but
that's the thing. And she's just not going to say anything. I don't
park
know.
that for later.
Okay.
Emeterio calls the next pair to the mat, and it's Sloane and Eric, but Sloane wants to fight Violet. Mm-hmm. This girl, like I feel for her, but I feel like her anger is like very misplaced.
I forgot. I wanted to ask you your thoughts on something.
Okay.
On what we were just talking about with Rhiannon and stuff.
Yeah.
So Violet
Yeah.
is currently lying to Rhiannon for Rhiannon's own good and keeping secrets from her for Rhiannon's own good and for the good of the secrets. Exactly the way Xaden did.
Yeah. Yeah. You are coming to a realization that Violet will come to.
Okay. Sorry, I just had to put that out there.
I don't know if that's a spoiler warning, but like...
No, but I'm glad she will come to it because I was like, as I was reading it, I'm like, girl, you're doing the same thing you're mad at Xaden for.
No, I know.
Anyway,
okay.
Sorry, yes.
But good on you.
Back to the mat.
Back to the mat. So Imogen says, do you really feel like dying on your first day? And Sloane responds, quote, from what your letter said last year, her joints pop right out. How hard could it be? Uh-oh, Imogen caught in the middle.
But to be fair, Imogen has had a huge arc.
Yeah.
She didn't like Violet at first, and she was like, whatever, screw this girl, blah, blah, blah. And now, she's done a 180. So
no, I know.
I'm not all that surprised that she was talking shit about Violet last year.
Yeah, for sure. I love Emeterio's response, which, spoiler, I quote in a couple minutes. But he tells Sloane to disarm and fight Eric.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jack Barlow Jr. is like, did someone say Sorrengail? And in a move I will never understand, Nadine's like, yeah, I'm Violet Sorrengail. Like, see my hair? Blah, blah, blah. What? Like, I don't understand the purpose of that. Anyway, the guy grabs her head, twists her neck. What the actual fuck?
I know. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it. What did you say in your synopsis? A head-turning move?
Yeah, head-turning moment. Because everyone's heads turned, but so did Nadine's. Okay.
So grim. Oh, man. Okay. Awards.
Most romantic. Simply the way Rhiannon just keeps reaching out to Violet.
Mm-hmm. You know what it reminds me? It reminds me of in Akasif when Amren tells Cassian, keep reaching out your hand. Yeah. Love that. Mm-hmm. My most romantic line is the Emeterio line. Quote, I couldn't care less about whatever grudge you think you hold against Sorrengail, Mary. I know who trained her, and I'm not unleashing her on a first year. I, too, made an error last year. Now disarm and take your place against Grey Castle. Like, I like that he not only is like, Violet is stronger than she looks. She has made strides in her skill level on the mat, but also I am acknowledging a mistake I made in underestimating her.
Very good point.
Love that.
I do.
Okay.
Funniest?
Funniest.
I can explain. Imogen puts her hand over her heart. You see, I didn't like you last year, remember? You're kind of an acquired taste.
I put that as my spiciest line.
Yeah,
like spicy
okay.
sassy.
It is.
But yeah, I like that line a lot.
Yeah.
My funniest, sorry, what were you
I was
going
going to say, I didn't put a spicy. So.
Oh, okay. My funniest line is when Taryn and Violet are mind to mind talking about her shields, and he says they should be like clothes at this point. Surely you feel a breeze if you forgot to put them on.
I had that for a minute. Yeah, that's good. Chapter 10. Picking up where we left off, Violet faces off with a first year who has been sent to assassinate her, by whom we learn was Colonel Atos. That was great.
Thank you.
Later, waiting in her room is Xaden Ryerson. After some banter,
I love how
Xaden...
I love how you're like, Xaden Ryerson. What other Xaden is there, Elise? Sorry.
I like his name. He has a cool name.
He has a great name. Sorry.
I can't get through it. Okay. After some banter, Xaden must attend to some rebellion matters, but not before handing Violet a letter to finally let her in.
No.
My heart.
The pre-chapter blurb is, quote, "It is not unheard of that a candidate enters the Riders Quadrant having been paid to assassinate a cadet. I'm sorry Mira was targeted, but proud to say she dispatched the threat quickly. You have enemies, General." And this is an official notice from Commandant Panchek to General Sorrengail. The chapter opens immediately after Nadine's neck is snapped. And Rhiannon calls out Nadine's name. And Jack Barlow Jr. is like, "Nadine?" And again, we get an example of bad pedagogy at Basgiath. I was going to say at Hogwarts because I'm so used to talking about bad peg. Yeah, because Harry Potter and the Sacred Text, that's what they call it all the time.
Right,
they say
right.
bad pedagogy at Hogwarts. Anyway,
Yeah.
bad pedagogy at Basgiath because the Codex means nothing. Because all Emetario says is like, what the hell do you think you're doing? Like, there's no consequences for this first year. Violet then challenges him to a spar, and she throws her daggers, which methinks Xaden told her not to do. Also, I love saying methinks. I think it's really funny. The daggers, though, land in the first year's arms, which is absolutely revolting. She slams her shields down to block everything and everyone out, thinking to herself that it doesn't matter why this guy was trying to kill her now. Either she's strong enough to survive or she's not. The guy pulls the daggers out of his arms.
Yeah.
And I want to spew my breakfast at the thought. Like,
and then what she does to him, like the whole thing was graphic and gross. I was like, ugh, I don't like this.
So much more graphic than fourth ranking.
Yeah.
So when he pulls out the daggers, he just leaves them to clatter to the floor, which is a rookie mistake. And she remembers Xaden's advice to stop going for bigger moves, and she starts to spar. Things are getting bloody. She's like broken his nose, but she's not winning outright either. And he starts to strangle her, and he tells her the now famous line, "Secrets die with the people who keep them."
Yeah.
And
which makes us know
who
sent him.
Yeah.
But it's funny, not funny. Every fight that Violet has had ends in choking. Like, everyone just goes to choke her.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, that's the only move
yeah, because
people have.
Jack did that to her as well.
And Orion? No. Orin?
Yeah, Orion.
Orion. I knew it wasn't Orion, but it sounded... Yeah, Orin did it.
You're very close.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Why is that the move? And it never works. Anyway.
Well, it always almost does, I guess. But note, big, giant PARK. His eyes are light brown, but rimmed in red as though he's on some kind of drug.
Yep.
Red-rimmed eyes, Elise.
I know.
What does this mean?
I don't know. The only other red eyes would be the venom. So what is going on?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Exactly. Especially now when you think of the connection to Colonel Atos. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like they, have maybe, oh my God. Is that what's happening in the infirmary? Are they doing drug testing to turn people into venom or something? I don't know. I have to think about this.
Yeah, think about it. Violet is starting to lose consciousness when she plunges a dagger into the spot that Xaden taught her.
Yeah.
Literally no hesitation. She goes in for the kill. What a difference a year makes, eh?
Yeah.
She fills her lungs with air, but she's in a ton of pain. And Dane is crouching down beside her, being like, are you all right? Mm-hmm. No, Dane, she's not all right. Your father just tried to have her assassinated. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she uses her pain management technique that I am so impressed by. Mm-hmm. And he's like, say something. I'm like, girl is just trying to literally put air in her lungs.
Yeah.
She's literally trying to breathe. Give her a second.
Yeah.
Like,
back off.
yeah. So she is like trying to get herself together, like trying to get up. He offers her a hand. She's like, do not freaking touch me. Mm-hmm. And I love that Emeterio then asks for her consent before touching her, given what she's very loudly saying to Dane multiple times.
Yeah. What was he using his power? What's his power?
Who?
Because he touches her and then assesses that she has a concussion.
Oh, I think it's because because of her reaction to the light.
Okay, so
something.
like he saw in her pupils or something.
Yeah, something like that. He offers to let her skip the rest of the session, but she refuses. And this gives us a beautiful comparison to Assessment Day last year. And the irony is that last year she left Assessment Day like passed out in, wakes up in the infirmary because of Imogen. And Imogen's the one that's like, no, I got her. Like, don't worry. I just love that.
Yeah. I do wish she was a bit less stubborn when it came to like going to the healers though. Like,
yeah.
I know she like wants to prove her strength, but it's kind of like, okay, but just heal yourself. You'll be better.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's true. That's really not something that ever crossed my mind. Violet confides in Imogen that Atos sent the first year and that she thinks that they're being targeted. Mm-hmm. Then Emeterio drops this bomb.
Wait, what does he say?
He says he was probably sent as a message to your mother. Same thing happened to your older sister during her years. How have we never heard about this?
I know.
Like, Mira warned her, did all this extra, work, getting her the vest and giving her all these tips.
It. I guess it wasn't in Yaros's plans in book 1.
I guess. Fair enough. That's a retcon then.
Yes.
Violet watches Sloane fight.
Mm-hmm. And she sucks.
And she sucks.
Yeah.
What a difference from Liam, who was,
their best fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it said multiple times, so.
Then Violet makes it through, like, one more class, skips dinner, and heads to her room. Girl is in pain. She needs time to recover in peace.
And who's in her room?
Who's in her room, Elise?
Xaden Ryerson.
The best surprise ever.
If this was an SJM novel, my toes would be curling.
This whole chapter, eh?
I was so happy to see him.
I know.
Like, he was gone for, like, 2 chapters, and I'm like...
No, he was gone for 4.
I know. But, like, so short, and I'm so happy to see him again.
I know. So even though he's a day late, Xaden is here.
Yeah.
Violet thinks, relief courses through me as I push open the door and see Xaden leaning against the wall between my desk and my bed, looking ready to kill someone, as usual, his arms folded over his chest.
Do you think he, like, tests out leaning spots? I'm going to lean here. No, not cool enough. I'm going to lean here.
No, he's too cool. He instinctively knows. So he takes her face in his hands in a way that feels completely different from the way Emeterio had. And he has rage shining through his eyes, which is at odds with the gentleness of his touch. And he takes stock of her injuries. Heart eyes. Xaden's like, I wish I could have killed him first. And Xaden's like, who? The first year or Atos? And he's like, both. And she's like, you can't go killing cadets. You're an officer now. And he's like, watch me. That is toe curling. That is toe curling. That is touch her and die. That is literally touch her and die.
Then Violet opens up about her struggles and the candidates' deaths, and she talks about resisting the desensitization process of the academy. She's kind of opening up and struggling, and he just wants to burn the place down. But then it comes out that Xaden has warded Violet's room again.
Yeah.
And he explains that she could only bring people in if she's touching them. So he has left the door open for her to bring people into her room.
People of the male variety.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think that is really, really beautiful. Mm-hmm. I think that it just goes to show that he is willing, he's putting his money where his mouth is. Like, he's giving her the space. It's giving, spoiler for ACOTAR, but it's giving, like, Rhys giving Feyre the space to be with Tamlin if that's what makes her happy. Like, he loves her so much that he just values her well-being and her happiness more than he values the selfish desire he has to be with her. It also shows the confidence and the confidence that he has in their relationship and in her. And it's further evidence of, like, a lack of a controlling nature. Like, he's, I don't know. I loved it.
I loved it too.
I need to stop myself from ranting.
No, I think you put it really beautifully. He's giving her the space she needs, like you said, and giving her the option. And it just goes back to, like, the old saying of, if you love someone, let them go. Yeah. And though he's not, like, letting her go in the sense, like, he's leaving her and whatever, but, he's giving her the freedom.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very beautiful too.
Yeah. Meanwhile, she's brushing her hair and he's getting super distracted because he loves her hair.
Yeah.
She changes the subject and she talks about Parapet and she talks about Sloane's hatred for her. And he says, it's impossible to hate you. Trust me, I tried. More heart eyes. Meanwhile, he's rifling through his backpack and he's asking how many candidates fell, and she's like, too many, and he's validating her feelings, and he says it's okay that you couldn't watch the younger ones die. It means you're still you. And she's so beautifully vulnerable when she says, as opposed to turning into someone else, because I feel like I am. I don't even want to know the first year's names. I don't want to know them. I don't want to hurt when they die. What does that make me? And he says, a second year.
He then says, the first year is when some of us lose our lives. The second year is when the rest of us lose our humanity. It's all part of a process turning us into effective weapons. And don't forget a second, that's the mission here. Don't forget for a second, that's the mission here.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I know.
Dark.
I know. Ugh. But I also like that he's telling her this and he's basically, like, gently teaching her the way he always has. But at the same time, he's, like, not approving of this mentality. He's just kind of, like, stating it.
Yeah, it is what it is. And he's not wrong. He put it perfectly. It's just tough to swallow.
Yeah. Their conversation is interrupted by a knock on the door, and it appears Xaden was expecting said knock. It's Bodhi. And I love Bodhi, but in this moment, I do not love Bodhi. Apparently, he's not spending all the time that he has at Basgiath with Violet. He's got things to do. And I'm like, yeah, obviously, like, he's got a revolution to lead and he's got shit to do and, like, whatever. But I just want him to spend the whole time that he's there with Violet. Okay?
Yeah. I'm sure they'll have their moments later on.
Yeah. When she begs him to let her help, he says, not yet, which is promising because it's not straight up no. He leaves her with a piece of paper saying, quote, you told me once that I was scared you might not like me if you got to really know me. Every time we're together, we're training or fighting. There's not a lot of time for long walks by the river or whatever passes for romance around here. But I told you I'd find a way to let you in. And right now, this is all I can have. Or this is all I have. And he's like, I'll see you in a week. And she's like, wait, how will I find you when I get to Samara? And he says, the wards will let you in.
Yes.
She responds, let me guess, warded for sound and to let in you, me, and anyone else you tug through. And he says, no, Violet, just you and me.
I know, I'm screaming. This last part had me screaming. The letter, the words, he's perfect.
I know. Basically, so he leaves on that, like, so romantic, like, oh my God, so many feelings note. And then she unfolds the piece of paper he gave her, and it's a letter. He wrote her a letter.
I know. Ugh. I was upset that I couldn't read said letter.
Well, you will.
No, I know, but I had to stop reading there. Yeah. I was like, oh, what a place to stop.
I know.
Okay, most romantic.
I had too many to count.
No, Violet, just you and me.
Yeah, that was one. I liked when he says, wanting you to ask what you want to know isn't a game. You and me, not a game. So romantic. Mm-hmm. What else? I'm just looking for all the pink I highlighted. Yeah, the Xaden Ryerson wrote me a letter.
Yeah.
I'm just like freaking out a little too much. I didn't have a funniest line. Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm sorry I couldn't kill him first. The first year or Atos? Both.
Okay. Yeah. I think I actually did highlight that. And then my spiciest line is that a challenge? He glances at the furniture because I guarantee we can take it down once you're healed. Talking about the armoire.
So my line was the line kind of before that saying, no one will hear a thing, even if you wreck an armoire. So in sync.
Yeah, definitely. All right, that's it.
That's it.
For next week, please read chapters 11 through 15. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Mm-hmm. In case you couldn't count. Thank you so much for listening. Please rate this podcast and leave us a review. It'll help other people find us. If you haven't already, we encourage you to set new episodes to download so that you are sure to be up to date. Mm-hmm. By the way, if you are interested in supporting the podcast, we launched our Amazon storefront, where you can find some of our favorite things, books we love, and more. You can also purchase Smoke Show hot sauce using code BBB15 for 15% off. You can follow us on Instagram at BookboundPod and on TikTok at BookboundBesties. Tag us in literally anything you want. We love to see it. Use our audio.
Yeah.
Our unhingedness in the wild brings us so much joy.
It's the best.
DM us. Whatever. Just reach out.
We're
exactly.
Here.
We are saying with like our arms spread wide open to hug our beautiful Bookbound Besties community of people who love to talk about books as much as us.
Exactly.
And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please email us at bookboundpod@gmail.com. Let's get to reading!